This is really the study of the mind, the Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali. It will change your life, and it's already changed many of our lives in this. Many of you in this hall have studied the Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali, and it is magical. Why is it so magical? Because it gives us the clue to find who we are in this life. All of us have the basic questions. Who am I? What is my mission on this earth? What's the best I can be? How can I be the best I want to be? I don't know where to go, Nalanie, I hear all the time. What should I do? What should I think? I don't know. And Raj Yoga is the science of the soul. We all know we are spiritual beings. We know it. We know we have magic when we are children. Children just know it. But when we grow up, we forget it. And then we start to get so materialistic. We start to hook on to things to make us happy. A new car, a new home, a new partner, a new friend, a new place. We're constantly running away from ourselves and ending up finding nothing. Because after all this running, you get what you want, and then you want something else, and you want something else. But where are you in all this? Who are you in all this? Are you living? Are you really living? Or are you just going through life like a robot? And this is how I felt, because I was brought up with a spiritual father and talked about God, and then life happened. Then you meet everybody, and then you want to catch up with the Joneses. You want to have what everybody has, and all this comes into your head. And the more you want, the more miserable you are. Would you agree with that? And that's when I realized I am so unhappy because I think I want this. If I have this, I will be happy. If I have this, I will be happy. If I have this, I will be happy. I don't know how to be happy in the now. I had no idea how to do it. So I prayed, no answers. I did so many things, no answers. And then I came across the sutras. And there was the roadmap and who I was, what my place was on this earth, and how to achieve it. How to achieve this question, why am I not happy? And then to find it in this life, to find the peace while you're living, to enjoy a home that is full of peace and joy and laughter and love before I die, instead of a home that's full of anguish and fear. And it was all about self-transformation. This is what the Yoga Sutras is all about. People think yoga is about just postures and just so long as you meditate every day, everything's going to work for you. Of course meditation helps. It's wonderful. It's the best medicine. What are you meditating on? What's going on up here? And Patanjali starts with the science of the mind. You know you're a spirit, but you can't get in touch with your spirit because the mind's in the way. How do you do it? So we learn 3 things that we have, what we call Shakti. Can you all say the word?
Shakti.
Okay, so this is what you need. And the study of the sutras gives you this Shakti. Shakti is energy, spiritual energy that lives in all of us. The Catholics or the Christians would call it Holy Spirit. They would call it the Holy Spirit. We call it the Kundalini. We all have this inside of us. We just don't know how to work it. To make it work for us, we're always working with the mind. So there's 3 types of Shakti, 4 actually, that you need in order to wake yourself up. One is called Icha Shakti. What does that mean? The power of your willpower. Having the energy to develop the willpower. And that takes time. That takes what they call today neuroplasticity. It was there for 3,000 years ago. And the wonderful thing about this book is it tells you, how to keep going forward. In Sutra 14, when we touch it, it tells you have to practice for a long time without a break and with all your heart. Practicing on what? Watching your mind while you're meditating? Watching your thoughts? What are your thoughts based on? Who are you? What makes up your personality? Who are you? Not who somebody else is. We're always comparing ourselves to somebody else, not who somebody else is. Who are you? What is your place? What is your spirit crying for? Because our soul's crying for us. You got a human life. What is the highest goal? What is the highest goal? The whole yoga study is the study of getting in touch with your spirit and your soul while you're alive, and this is where the willpower will come from. It will come from deep within you. As you start to practice, as you gauge through this road map of the mind, you will start to shed layers off. Layers that you didn't even know you had. Layers of your personality that you never liked, and you realize you could transform it into something that you like. Layers of love that you have within you, that you were longing to give the world but just didn't know how. You just didn't know how to give it to the world. You were embarrassed. You couldn't be you. Layers of fear, so frightened to be the light that we are, that we stand back, hold back, or layers of arrogance and thinking we know it all because I'm a yoga teacher or this, and then making the world miserable by making everybody feel worse because you're better than everybody else. So these are the layers that will come off of us. Fear, anger, guilt, worry, all the things that stop us from knowing our spirit and just flowing with the divine sound or the song of God. And we can call it whatever you want to call it. For me, it's a song, because when you get in touch, when you take off all those fears from that goes on in your brain, you witness that you really don't belong to you, that your body is just temporary and it's here for a short time. You really start to know it. And then many times I hear people have been practicing this for some time, and they tell me, Nalanie, I don't know where the willpower came from. I didn't know how I could do this. I never knew I had this in me. And this is very exciting for me as a teacher to see, because to see people develop to be who they are in life, and myself too with it, is such a joy, because we're all one human family, as Einstein realized in his life. You know, he even said, I wish I'd studied the Gita way before. There's no knowledge greater than that. And what's the Gita? The song of God, or the song of the soul, or the song of spirit. If you don't like the word God, call it universe, cosmic consciousness, whatever you like. It's really not. And Sri Patanjali also in his books tells us, it doesn't matter what you call it. You know, don't make yourself so small-minded. It has to be this way, or this way, or this way, or that way. You find your way, because we're all different in this wonderful world. And when we can all work together in our differences, rather than hurt each other in our differences, when we can work together and laugh together, we can grow, and the world becomes heaven instead of hell. And when hell occurs in your life, once in a while it will, because it is life, you can deal with it. You know it's temporary. You know it's a play. You know this is all a game. It's a play. You learn to play. You learn to play. And this is why I love the study of Raj Yoga. So what is the Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali? Who is Sri Patanjali? Sri Patanjali existed, nobody really knows, maybe from 3000 BC, or they say anytime 50 AD. Nobody really knows. But what he did is, before this time, spiritual knowledge was passed on through families or through schools, through the mouth, word of mouth. But then, as the world became more and more material, and Sri Patanjali could see, the words would be lost. So what happened is notes were put down. This is why put down like verses. These verses are called sutras. Can you say sutras? Sutras. The word sutras means thread. Threads. Threads. And some of you heard me use this analogy. When I started to really understand this, what I saw was a tapestry of my life, for example. But the threads weren't sewn into it yet. It was just there with no color. It was all black and white. And then in my mind, I saw all these new thoughts being put into this tapestry and making it beautiful, like a picture. So these sutras, as you apply them, destiny is given to us. We have a certain dharma to fulfill. Dharma is your life's duty, what you were born to do. We all have to fulfill it. Swadharma is your spiritual duty. When you achieve your life duty with your spiritual duty, contentment and peace comes into your life. And that's what happens. So anyway, Sri Patanjali started to jot these down into sutras and threads, and there are about 196 of them. We will be going through just a few from each book first. I don't know how long it's going to take, my folks. A lifetime, but at least I can give you the basic, what you really need to have to ground yourself. You need to be grounded in yoga. Otherwise people go, I meditate and I do all strange kind of things. And I go, you can't even look after your family and you're talking about enlightenment? Hello, what's going on? And your family's starving. Doesn't make sense. Something doesn't ring true. Because we are in this world, so we have to live in this world. How to live in this world? To achieve the satisfaction. And you know when you do your mission. You know, because you feel at home. Suddenly you're home and here. You're not frustrated when things go wrong. Yeah, it's a perfect plan. So we got all these verses, which we'll go through. The book is divided into 4 parts, and the first part is called Samadhi Pada. Can you say Samadhi? Samadhi. Okay, what is the meaning of Samadhi? Merging into the oneness. Oh my God, these are fancy words. I didn't even understand what that meant. And I was going, I'd like to reach Samadhi. Hello, girl, you don't even know the meaning of Samadhi. Let's get real. Just because you do a few yoga classes, you think you know what? Oh, no. So this is the merging into this consciousness, or merging into the oneness that we call divine, divinity, God. All right. So the first book is about how to get to Samadhi and what Samadhi is, so that you get inspired to work. The second portion, the second book, is called Sadhana Pada. Can you say sadhana? Sadhana. Now, sadhana is practices, physical, practical things that you have to do in order to clean this mind space. So you have to do all these practices. All right, so the whole of the book 2 is about how to practice. And it's so interesting because the first thing, it starts in book 2, Sutra 1. It says, accepting pain for purification. Is the first thing it starts with. That's the first practice. Life can be painful, guys. How to deal with it. There is suffering, Buddha says. There's a way out. It's because of karmic reasons, and you can find out in this world. Yoga Sutras of Patanjali say the same thing. Bhagavad Gita, just as fire burns fuel into ashes, a man or woman with knowledge will burn their karmas. It's really exciting. What does that mean? That means like, if you think like, oh my God, I've done so much bad in my life, so I have to face whatever comes to me is, cause and effect. So this is the effect that has to come to me. But by your new deeds that you are sowing now, by changing the way of your mindset, can influence those negative karmas that would have come to you and burn them off. When I heard that, I thought, I want the science. I want it more than anything. And I want to practice, because I read hundreds of books before I actually practiced. But reading didn't get me there. Practicing did. That was the secret. It wasn't the knowledge of that kind of knowledge. It was the inner knowledge. It was the connection. And that connection was based on a feeling so deep, once you make a connection, even a little, that feeling of being loved so much is quite incredible. And you don't know where the love is coming from, you just feel it. It's quite an incredible feeling. For me, this is a small samadhi. Oh, I'm so loved, but everything else is going wrong, and yet I feel so safe. That's the wonderful feeling we can have when we're alive amidst pain and sorrow. So, Sadhana Pada. The third book is called The Portion of Accomplishments. When you do this practice, you get more in touch with the spiritual side of you. I talked about will, right? When you get more in touch with Icha Shakti, what happens? You start to realize that you have the will to be more powerful than your thoughts. And when you get that, then you get Karma Shakti. What is Karma Shakti? Then you want to do the karma or the kriya, which means cleansing by action. You want to do all those positive actions to free yourself. You want. Now, nobody's telling you. Now, this is when the yogi takes on a great feeling of independence, working with the source, working with the divine, working with the energy. The yogi takes this on, and this is a very exciting period for a yogi. And as you do that, you develop, because you're less in the mind, your intuition becomes stronger. And you're more connected to going with the flow, but really going with the flow, not just talking about going with the flow. Really, good or bad, you flow. You're not worried about good or bad, you just flow. And when you flow, you're connected with all that is. So you develop certain gifts. These gifts we have seen many people develop. You can do incredible things. There's clairvoyance, there's clairaudience, and it's called a siddhi. Total concentration. Whatever you concentrate on, you can achieve. You can achieve it. So, and then it talks about, but where would that get you? So Sri Patanjali tells us, yes, you'll get all these gifts on the way, but the real gift is when you don't look at those gifts to achieve fame or fortune, but look at those gifts to protect you, to stay in that safe place of love and not ego. Because you see what happens when you get these gifts, there's also a temptation. People start to think they're a god. Really scary. And people start to manipulate other people, thinking I can, manipulate your mind, because they develop magnetic powers. So here, Sri Patanjali even warns you of that. He said the best thing for you is to be at peace, and that is the biggest miracle. It's the biggest miracle, to treat everybody as your family, brother and sister, friend. And that is the miracle. And that's when you will really feel the great love. The final portion is called Kaivalya Pada. So what does that mean? Absoluteness. The portion of absoluteness. You get to a point now, after all these practices, that you feel you become firm. You understand you are spirit living in a physical world. You really do. Nobody has to tell you, nobody has to tell me I'm not really Nalanie. I know I'm not really Nalanie. It's quite funny. Sometimes I look at the mirror and I go, who are you, girl? How come you've been given this body? How come you've been given this mind? What's your job? I know why I was given the things I was now after years of study. I understand why I went to a certain school. I understand why I met my husband. I understand why I went through a lot of stuff. It was all because I had to achieve this mission. And like me, all of you have your missions, and you have to discover it for yourself, which is the exciting part. Right? Because we're all so different and yet all the same. Isn't that interesting? And I love the way the Gita describes it. It describes it like we are all pearls strung on one string. So the inside of us, one string, but each pearl is different. And you start to see that then. But how to live with the world when you have all this knowledge? Because how do you balance it? How do you make decisions? If you see everybody as divine, what if somebody acts badly? How do you deal with this? And this Sri Patanjali teaches us. He teaches us with the 4 locks and keys, how to deal with people in the world. So it's a process. And it's a work that we have to do on ourselves. And I think for me, this is the greatest gift. This is psychology par excellence. I studied psychology in university, but I never studied anything like this. I have many students who go to university to study psychology only to become very disillusioned and very lost, because now they're not even allowed to use words like God and soul. We are soul, we are energy. This is the Shakti we are inside of us. We all know that. So then the next Shakti is Jnana Shakti, that develops in you through this study. Jnana means knowledge. You want to learn who your soul is, why you came to this life, why you came to this family, why did you come to this work, and who am I? And that's Jnana. The great Jnana yogi was, many of you might know him, is Ramana Maharishi. Every time his disciples had a problem, and they'd come to him and say, I have a problem, I've got this. And he goes, who's really having the problem? Oh, Master, I'm having the problem. Who's really having the problem? You're pure, you're soul, you're spirit. Your mind's having the problem. Change the way you think. Go home, think more. Who am I? Think more, go home, just go home. My master used to say that too. When somebody used, and I use the same technique when people go, oh, Nalanie, I'm so depressed. Maybe I'll end up in the madhouse. And I go, no, you won't. How do you know that? I said, because you are telling me you are depressed. So if you're depressed, who's the one watching that you are depressed? If you're depressed, how can you watch yourself? How can you come here and tell me I don't want to be depressed? Can you help me? That means you can change the depression. So you're not crazy. When a person is depressed or going crazy and they go, I'm perfectly fine, they're in trouble. Those are the ones that need to be in the madhouse, not the ones that know. When you know, I said, when you know. Okay, so who's the one that is watching this? And this is what we're going to see in the beginning of the sutras that we're going to cover right now. All right? So we'll start with the Sutra 1, Book 1. And I would advise write notes if you're really interested, because that's how I did it. I just wrote notes all the time and then go home and mull it over my head. Because if you don't, the moment you go outside, friend says, let's go for dinner, you forget. Is that quick to forget? That's how the mind is. So we start with Sutra 1. Now the exposition of yoga is being made. Simply, what he is saying, Sri Patanjali, is telling his students, here's all these people sitting around like this, and he says, now I'm going to give you instructions about what yoga really is. I'm going to exposition is like when you go, you see everything exposed. I'm going to expose who you are to you. I'm going to expose the real meaning of yoga to you. I'm showing you all. He doesn't say you have to take it or not take it. He's just going, I'm going to show all these instructions to you. This is your roadmap. So then we go to Sutra 2. This I advise, Sutra 2 and Sutra 3, I advise you all to learn in Sanskrit, and you'll see why. You might not understand it today, but if you keep going at the English translation and the Sanskrit, you'll see there's a vast difference. Because there are no words in the English language that explain it. So Sutra 2 in Sanskrit is Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. In English, it's the restraint of the modification of the mind stuff is yoga. More and more you will see this in all the yoga magazines. Thank God the world is really now learning Raj Yoga, because this is what we need to transform ourselves. So you'll see it everywhere. So it's really important to understand this, okay? So let's look at the word. I'm going to break this down. Let's look at the word yoga. Yoga. What does it really mean? The word yoga comes from the root yug, which means root. Yoga is to unite. What are we uniting? The higher self with the lower self, or I should say the lower self with the higher self. What do we mean by the higher self with a capital S? The God within, the spirit within, Jesus, whatever you want to call it, Krishna, Shiva, Buddha. We want to unite with the higher self. What is the lower self? The lower self is the mind stuff. All the things, our thought patterns that are so connected with the material world, with everything that is here, our homes, our families. We're so attached to the material world that we forget that we are much more than the material world that's surrounding us. We're much more. Don't wait till you die to know that. You're much more. And we all know that we're going to die. So where do we go? Where do we come from? These are the questions to ask. My time here is short. Why did I choose this birth? Why am I sitting in this room right now? Is there a message for me? What am I searching for? And that's the yoga, the connection, the wholeness, to feel whole again. You see, we came from that one. We came from that consciousness. We came from all that is. And that's why when we come to earth, there's duality. Where there's duality, there will always be good or bad, up and down, hatred, love. All these things will exist in duality. Pain, joy. We came to duality to experience with our senses. Because if you don't have a body, you cannot touch. Yoga is in that connection with kind of like your life pattern. It's already there. The tapestry is there. You just have to open the doors and let it show, let it shine, and then live your life to fill in all those colorful threads that you achieve your goal. So yoga is that word to unite with your higher self. This is our job. That's the whole practice of yoga. Now the second word, chitta, chitta, chitta. You need to remember this word because there's no word in English. Can you all say chitta? Chitta. Okay, in Sanskrit it is like everything, your whole consciousness that comes with you, maybe your soul with spirit, I would call it, mixed up in a physical human body and a human mind. So, and the chitta, so you got your human part in the chitta, which we'll start with by breaking the human part into three things, all right? There's what we call the ahamkara. Can you say it? Ahamkara. The ego, the I, the I, okay? And then you got the manas. Can you say manas?
Manas.
That is the thinking part of the mind that's connected, when it's connected with the ego, so you go, I want, and the mind will say, yeah, you deserve this, let's do this, or, all that. The mind takes over, or the mind does otherwise. This is the interesting part. And then we've got the buddhi. And buddhi is your intellect. Can you say buddhi?
Buddhi.
Intellect. So the intellect will be as smart as you educate it. This is how you know you can change the way you think. See, if everything you love or own is all materialistic, so your buddhi will make all the wrong decisions. It will make the decision, how much money can I make? Then you're 70 years old and suddenly you lived in a corporate job and you made all this money, you never went on holidays, and you get very sick and you can never do all your dreams. Do you see? Buddhi is now connected to the mind. But if you get the knowledge, then buddhi starts to make different decisions. I'll say, no, my mind is saying, I want to do this. I want to stay stuck. I have to do this. I have to have the new TV or I'm never going to be happy. You're wrong. I'm already happy. Why are you talking so much, mind? Keep quiet for a bit. I am happy. Look around me. Am I really happy? Yeah. So why is this silly thought bothering me? And it'll bother you for many days till you learn how to appease it. Okay, you can want all you want, but I am happy. And you sing, and this is where we do the mantra chanting or any music. I love music. You sing, you get yourself out of it, or you exercise and you work yourself out of it. All right? So this is a process. It's all a process. And then the other part of your chitta is all the past lives that you have in there. All that you've gone through. This is not only your only life. How would you explain anything if this was one life? Why would some people, there must be a very cruel divine creator. Some people, don't have arms, they have no food, they're very poor, they're in war zones. Others live like kings and queens. Why? It doesn't make sense for a creator to be so cruel. So this is where we also will talk about the subject of karma later on. So that chitta contains all those old memories that made you have this body to get through all those blocks you had in previous life and to break them so you can know who you really are in this life. See, but so many people are stuck. They can't get out of their trauma. They can't get out of it because they believe they have to feel sorry for themselves because they've gone through all this trauma. What they don't see is they have to accept that, accepting pain for purification, that the pain has come to teach them to let go of all that and start anew. There is no judgment, there is no guilt, you can start anew. So what if you lose material things? You have a chance to start anew and be happy. What is more important? So this is the chitta awakening to understanding why you are here in this life. And when you're very brave, I think it's very brave to follow. Once you get the hint and you follow that calling, it's never easy. You will have so many obstacles. Everything will come in your way, and that's your test. Are you strong enough? You are. Remember the Icha Shakti? Bring that up, that willpower. I can do this. I know I can do this. I feel I can do this. And then you ask for help. Help me. And of course, the universe is everywhere. The divine is everywhere. As you think, it will become. Say it again. As I think, it will become. And then you go, oh God, this is really exciting. I really know this. I really know as I think. I'm not scared of my obstacle. I know I get all this help from the universe because I'm going on a higher frequency of energy here. And once you break that blockage, that energy will do everything to help you. But if you want to stay in self-pity and victim move and poor me mood and I'm not good enough move, suffer. You chose it. Sorry. There's a chance you can get out. The only person that judges you is you. There's no God that judges you. There's nobody that does that to you. You do it to yourself, so stop it. Remember, you have the Shakti, you have the Jnana, you have the Kriya, you have the Karma. You can use all these forces, and the moment you start to use one change in that mind, all the gods, they call it, all the gods will come and visit you and help you if you're sincere. If you're sincere. Of course you will fall on the road. It's normal. Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes a lifetime. And even if it doesn't take this lifetime, insurance for future lifetimes. In the Gita it says, Arjuna asks Lord Krishna, what if I do all these practices and when I die I haven't completed the Samadhi? And he says, don't worry. If you don't get it this lifetime, next lifetime, you will be born into a family of sages, or you'll be born to a very wealthy spiritual family, because you'll never have to worry about other things. You can just focus on spirit. I said, don't worry, that's what's going to happen. So you're never going to lose anything. It's a continuation of the soul. I mean, think about it. We're eternal. If you merge into the oneness, you won't be here. You're gone. There's no more duality. That's why nobody can really stay in Samadhi for long periods of time. And this is what the fallacy, people think you can stay in Samadhi for long periods of time. Some really great Satans can, but even they come back from the state of Samadhi, and Ramakrishna says, if I stay in that state for a long time, I cannot be here. And you hear about many saints, Buddhist saints and Hindu saints and Chinese as well. They live up in the mountain because their frequency is so high that if they come down to earth, they suffer. They cannot. The frequency here on earth is too low. And they pray for us in these higher zones. So this is chitta, sorry. You really need to understand chitta. It's not as simple as everybody thinks, oh, yoga is chitta, vritti. No, what is chitta? It's all of you. And in the modern psychology, I'd like to also explain chitta. Carl Jung used to say, we have 3 levels, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the superconscious mind. When you touch your superconscious mind, that is when you heal. But if you only work with your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, you can never heal. So let me just very quickly explain this to you. Conscious mind is like here, I'm with you, I see your face, I talk to you, I see those people. Right, that's the conscious mind. Subconscious mind is everything you went through in last lives and this life. So I always use a very simple example. For example, when you're a child and somebody called you, your mom maybe say, oh, don't be so stupid, you're silly, you don't know anything. Without even realizing what she's doing, it's gone into your system, subconscious mind. It's there. I'm really stupid, I'm not good enough, I can never get anywhere, I'm not made to be better, this is all I can achieve. It's there. It's in there deep, deep, deep in your psyche. So, the moment somebody insults you and calls, oh, you're stupid or you're silly, you react badly. You get angry. You react because that's all you know. It hurts, it's painful, that's all you've heard. So you want to attack. And of course, attack, fire, and fire brings more fire. But you can't do anything else because you don't know how. So that's when we educate the superconscious mind, educate the subconscious mind. This is where we use positive affirmations. But you have to believe them. You can't just say, my father and I are one. You have to really believe it. You can't just say, every day I'm getting better and better, and you don't believe it. You won't, because you're just lying to yourself. So what you need to do is, I'm in a bad place. And you really think, visualize yourself. Visualization is amazing. Visualize yourself smiling. Visualize yourself getting through it. Visualize, see it. As you think, see it is even more powerful. Because you're raising the frequency. And no judgment on time, whenever it wants to happen. Not that I'm thinking and I want it to happen tomorrow. Not going to work. Again, you're trying to control. The control is not in your hands. Remember, you came with that destiny. But the fact that you are thinking that your life should be better means you were meant to live the better life. Otherwise, you wouldn't even want your life to be better. You wouldn't even have that desire. The fact that you have that desire means you are meant to achieve it. Some desires are very good for you. Not all desires are bad. But material desires seem to destroy the people who, with greed. I mean, look at greed. What is our worst problem today in the world? Greed, greed, greed. Destroying our earth. And people are having that desire. I want more money, I want more this, I want more this. I don't care who they destroy. Now those are the desires we need to avoid. The positive desires, my life should be beautiful. I need to be the example for my family, for my children, for my friends. I want to be here to pick you up when you're down. I don't want the one to always be down and miserable. I want to be the one to bring joy into life, because the more joy I bring into others' life, guess what? The more joy you receive. It's really quite simple. Change the thought, change your life. It's not, the miracles are not changing, water into ashes or a stone into something else. That, when you learn to have a city, you can do it, but that's not the miracle. How much joy will that bring you? The miracle is when you see things like that, when you live every day in that joy. So empower yourself with the spirit of divine energy. First thing we start is right here. Yoga's chitta. Vritti is the next one. What is vritti? Vrittis are thought patterns. All those thoughts. I have to do this. Da 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 da. So, and nirodha, the word nirodha is restraint, to hold back. Many people like to use the word control. I love the word restraint, because control means, I want to control them. So when your mind's got a bad thought, for example, this is control. I can't have the bad thought. I can't have the bad thought. Something's bad in me. Oh no, that's the wrong control. You go more crazy. You just go crazy when you do that kind of control. You have a bad thought. Oh, I saw that thought. It doesn't do me any good. But I really do have it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to think of something really nice immediately. What do I like that makes me laugh? What do I like? What do I love? Think of something you love. Think of something that makes you smile. So when that negative thought comes, yeah, I know you're there, reminding me again. So you think of something you love. You don't scold it. You're here to teach me that I don't want you in my mind anymore. You don't fight with it. You create more madness. Just, okay, you're there, but I'm going to replace it with this kind, beautiful thought. I'm going to change the atmosphere. I remember when I was young, and I'm sure many of you heard this statement, one thing goes bad in the morning, say, oh, my whole day, everything's going to go wrong today. And literally, I believed that. So in the morning, I may have spilt some water. Oh, it's going to be a bad day. In the afternoon, the iron would break. In the evening, the cooker would break. And I go, oh, such bad luck. Why does it happen to me? So when I started to study this science and change it, I go, oh, this spilled today. Oh, I can do some hand exercise and clean it. I'm going to have a great day. And I would have a great day. It wouldn't be 3 bad things in one day. It was a fallacy, but I convinced myself that this, subconsciously, that was the message. But it was not a true message. It was a false message. So, change the thought. Got it? Simple, simple, simple. Because I really want you to understand this in depth. This is the most important sutra, because when you can restrain those thoughts that come to your mind, hold them back, watch them. Why do they keep coming? So maybe you say, oh, because you had a trauma as a child, for example. Okay? They keep coming because I had this trauma as a child. Okay, let me deal with the trauma. Maybe you need to see somebody to go back to that time, and then you need to forgive it. no other way forward. You need to forgive it. Some people say, talk about your trauma again and again. And I think it's ridiculous, because for me, in my 30 years, I've seen people go to therapists and they talk about their pain again and again and again. And 30 years later, they're still in pain. What happened? Shouldn't you be out of pain if you've seen a therapist for 30 years? No, because you keep talking about it. You have to forgive it and let it go. I can't. Try slowly, slowly. And when they forgive it and they let it go, they get out of it in a short period of time, because they're so tired of feeling so bad. Trauma is bad enough. You don't need to remind yourself every day. It's like if you hurt yourself and you get a big scratch, and then you start to get a scab, you're not going to keep scratching it, bleed again and again and again. It will never heal. You will always have a scar. So what? That scar has taught you something. That scar's a reminder you learned something. We don't go back, oh, that scar's go. Hello? Why do you bring back the pain again and again and again? As you think. So if you think life is painful, it will be painful. So this is very scientific, you see? That's why I love Sri Patanjali. It's a science you can apply and practice. And when you practice it, you literally transform. And before I finish, I would like to read to you some of what my master says about it. The entire outside world is based on your thoughts and mental attitude. The entire world is your own projection. Your values may change within a fraction of a second. Today, you may not even want to see the one who was your sweet honey yesterday. If we remember that, we won't put so much stress on outward things. As the mind, so the man. Bondage or liberation are in your mind. If you feel bound, you are bound. If you feel liberated, you are liberated. Things outside neither bind you nor liberate you. Only your attitude towards them does that. So this is how powerful Western psychology teaches it now in universities. So it's an amazing science.